the Kadyn Proctor moment, we can't ignore that. That's huge, obviously. And you know what? It made me wonder, like, why don't you just do that more? You know, like if you have. Welcome to Beat Everyone. I'm Ben Flanagan. Hey, so Alabama did it. Kalen DeBoer did it. Ty Simpson did it. They went into Sanford Stadium, the new place apparently where dreams go to die, where nobody can win except Alabama apparently the last 3 times that they've played there. Monster game, monster moment for Kalen DeBoer. Alabama moves up to number 10 in the AP poll. Same as last year, they beat Georgia. Everybody's riding this wave of emotion, and now here comes Vanderbilt. Almost 1 year ago to the day, ESPN's College GameDay came to Tuscaloosa for Alabama versus Georgia. This week, the show is back for Alabama versus Vanderbilt. So we can now confirm without hesitation that college football has just changed people. But after a huge win in Athens, I mean, this is arguably an even bigger game in Tuscaloosa for Kalen DeBoer, for Alabama's playoff outlook. So we've got a lot to cover, and I got a lot of help to break it all down. He's a Beat Everyone producer. As you know, our good friend Matt Scalici, and he's AL.com Alabama beat writer Nick Kelly. Guys, welcome back. Nick, you were in Athens. We'll talk about the atmosphere a little bit later and just like what it was like to be there in person. But I think we got to start with Kalen DeBoer here. I mean, it was a rocky start to the 2025 season, as we all know. Alabama appeared to right the ship with its next 2 games, 2 impressive wins, but everybody harped on the competition, including us, admittedly. It was wait and see until Georgia, right? How do they look on the road after all of their struggles away from home during DeBoer's tenure so far? It becomes a must-win game and the ultimate measuring stick for the remainder of the year. So, Nick, how did Kalen DeBoer and Alabama answer the bell?
Yeah, in an amazing way. I think if you're an Alabama fan, I think that was what was most impressive. It wasn't like last year in that, okay, high scoring game, just you get all these points, like exciting offense, and then you hang on at the end. Like Alabama obviously had some really good offense early on, but it was a gritty win. It turned into a game where it was a slugfest. And as Kalen DeBoer mentioned, taking punches, punching back. Alabama showed resiliency that we really haven't seen much from them away from Bryant-Denny Stadium, especially. So Kalen DeBoer has been talking about guys having an edge, and I think we finally saw that in a road game that we often have, and other than that LSU game a season ago in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, DeBoer had won 2 straight, or has won 2 straight against Georgia now, and Kirby Smart specifically. It's clear that Kalen DeBoer can get up for big games against the best competition. And before we get to Vandy on that note, where the stakes are still incredibly high, Matt, what did DeBoer and this team show you with a win like this?
I think firstly, the thing that jumps out at me about this game is the incredible creativity from the offensive play calling. I think it shows an uncommon level of preparation for this game. I think the execution on top of that was extremely strong as well. I mean, nobody plays a perfect game, and there's glaring mistakes that you could look at and pick apart. But for the most part, I mean, Kirby Smart said it too after the game. Alabama executed better than Georgia did in this game. And there are so many plays that we're talking about razor thin margins that Ty Simpson is operating on, tiny windows he has to throw through, and he got it done whenever they needed to. And look, I don't want to take away from the defense either. I think that, defense tends to be something that we only think about and notice when they make a mistake. But for the most part, this was a very strong defensive performance at the end of the game. I mean, we're talking about holding a team that scored 40 plus against Tennessee a couple of weeks ago to 21 points in this game. And a lot of that had to do with big plays at big moments. Alabama was very good on third down defensively, something that Georgia was not able to do in this game. I mean, I think you could point to a play or two for each side of Alabama's team that was a truly unlikely, spectacular effort that won the game. And for the defense, it's that play, it's that 4th and 1 run where LT Overton just made something happen. It was a great individual effort, and it's potentially saves the game for Alabama. And offensively, there are many you can point to, but I think, Ben, I was telling you this on Saturday. It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen something like that last drive for Alabama with the ball, where they just have to get tough first downs, be it by running the ball or using a running back in a creative way, as they ultimately did on kind of the last real play of the game. But Alabama had to get tough yards to put this game away, and they did it with their offense. I don't think I've been able to see that out of Alabama in a game like this since at least 2021, maybe earlier. It just hasn't been the way this team's been built for the last few years. And it was incredibly impressive to see. And it was, I think, on top of everything else, Ben, we can get into this too, but emotionally, what we saw out of Ty Simpson and out of the sideline and out of Kalen DeBoer, it was different. It looked different than what we've seen out of these guys for the rest of, the past season and a half.
Can we talk about a second that play call though on that final 3rd down?
Yeah.
I loved it from the standpoint of I think it's playing to win. I think it is a offensive coordinator who's saying, hey, we're going to put the ball in our best players' hands. We're going to do what we want to do on this play. We don't care if, a running play automatically takes time off the clock. Now, the play, it's brilliant because if the throw is not there and if Ty can't find room to run, he takes a sack, he goes down. It still is a run, essentially. But I love the fact that they were not just trying to play not to lose. They were trying to play to win with that play.
Yep.
And Ryan Grubb was in his bag the entire game. And I think that showed through. Not that play was not the most exciting play in terms of the eye candy, theatrics, all that stuff. But in terms of just pure, hey, this works. They're going for the win. It was impressive.
I don't know, Nick. I mean, that was an exciting play, like just in the circumstance, the context of the game, and also the execution, because, Ty Simpson has to think quickly. He has to turn a certain direction almost immediately as soon as he snaps the ball. He has to elude a defender. He has to throw over a leaping defender who, if he tips that ball, it's a disaster because it's probably incomplete.
But
the play is over. It changes everything.
And Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb trusted that he would come through in that moment. And I think they were right to do so, not just because of the results of that play, but because of how he played this whole game. Ty Simpson never, to me, looked rattled, even when Georgia started dialing the pressure up on him. He just seemed like he was confident and aggressive. And it was different. It was different to see. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on other quarterbacks, because everybody's been good at something at Alabama at that position. But Ben, the comparison that my brain keeps trying to take me to is Jake Coker. Just this doesn't have time to be nervous and get the yips in a big moment, just sort of very, very confident in what he's doing, always seems to get out of trouble, and just makes great decisions no matter what the situation he's in.
Yeah, look, and let's stick with Ty Simpson for just a minute. You say Jake Coker, and I see exactly what you're talking about, playing with emotion. He's fired up. He's tough. He can do a lot of different things. I see a little Bryce Young, too.
Yeah, I think
in
so.
some ways, just in terms of pocket presence, in terms of poise, in terms of being seemingly able to make every single throw. We're seeing a lot more of what Ty Simpson can do. So, Nick, he's been playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the country leading up to this game. He was, and we saw that version of him, obviously, in Athens. Poised, accurate, competitive, made some huge throws, helped Alabama start fast, put Georgia in a hole early, and then capped it off with that incredible play dialed up by Ryan Grubb that you mentioned. This first down conversion puts the game on ice. Nick, we saw Simpson a little fired up, as Matt has alluded to, before the game, this pregame speech, rallying the team, right? He was hyped. So why was Simpson so effective against Georgia? And what does this mean for him as the centerpiece of Alabama's offense and identity moving forward?
Yeah, this is what so many people thought Ty Simpson could be. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what people in the building have been waiting for. This is what people in college football have been waiting for. I think because he wasn't playing for several seasons, we started to treat him in discourse like he was a walk-on, like he was this guy that was just in the background that wasn't that good. I mean, this is a 5-star quarterback. This is a guy who has pedigree. He comes from a coaching family. He comes from just a football family. And so this was a guy who, with the proper time, with the time to develop in this offense, with a great offensive coordinator like Ryan Grubb, this is what we thought could happen. Now, it doesn't mean it was going to happen, but I think that we are seeing here's a quarterback who's got a lot of talent, got a lot of ability. He's mature, and he's been developing. He's been learning from Bryce Young, learning from Jalen Milroe, learning from all these different guys. And now he's with an offensive coordinator who can accentuate what he does well. And it's a really good marriage, I think. And we're seeing what that can become. And so in this game against Georgia, yes, the ULM and Wisconsin games weren't an indicator, okay, this guy's going to be a Heisman contender. But they were important reps. They were reps that he could get in a game to build confidence, build rapport, so that when they went back on the road, he looked way more comfortable and just was surgical oftentimes with the way he was throwing the ball, the way he was moving up and down the field. I mean, it really was remarkable to see. And I think that a lot of folks that thought he could become that are vindicated by that. But I think seeing him actually do it after this long wait is pretty impressive, and a lot of folks are excited about it.
Stayed clean too. The offensive line protected Ty Simpson, gave him time to throw, but he also got it out of there pretty quick most of the time. Matt, sticking with Simpson for just a minute, I mean, what did the performance tell you? Like, do you think that this reassures fans that they don't just have a quarterback, they might have the quarterback?
I mean, I think it's still going to be hard for a lot of people to get their heads around the idea that Alabama might be good. Just because, I mean, and I'm joking a little bit, but like the narrative, Ben, and to be fair, we've contributed to it to some degree since that Florida State game, has all been about disaster and how far behind Alabama is from all of these other teams. And look, they have a tough slate ahead of them, and they're going to have opportunities to change people's minds and prove themselves. But I think you're already starting to see the perception shift. And look, these things are silly to talk about this early, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. You saw almost instant movement in Las Vegas for the Heisman odds to move Ty Simpson up to the number 2 spot in the betting odds for the Heisman Trophy. And I think he's very seriously going to be a contender. I mean, we're talking about one of the best defenses this team's going to see all year. Ty Simpson went 24 of 38, 276 through the air, 2 touchdowns. And that doesn't even really portray how effective he is in this game, because on top of how efficient he was, the play, I mean, it was a great combination of the sort of downfield stuff and the quick game, these little quick outs to running backs that probably go down in the books as rushing yards, but Ty Simpson was a key part of those plays. And on top of it too, I mean, all of that opens up play action, which is helping the running game. I mean, I just think he is becoming the engine of an offense that is looking more and more effective, spectacular, dangerous. And if Alabama continues on this path and ends up looking like a powerful offense, that does get people's attention nationally. It gets Heisman voters' attention. It gets, AP poll voters' attentions. It makes an impact on people when you're able to do things like this and get attention offensively. I think it's going to start to change the national perception of this particular Alabama team. But look, I'm getting a little ahead of us, because again, October is going to be very difficult for Alabama.
Can we talk about one last thing, Ben, about this offense and Ty Simpson? They haven't turned the ball over yet.
Yeah.
This is a group that I remember during camp, folks were worried about the defense because I think Kalen DeBoer said there had only been like a couple interceptions all camp. It's like, well, no, I think this offense just takes care of the football really well. And the fact that Ty Simpson still has not thrown an interception, and feel free to knock on wood.
I was going to say, you ready for a turnover fest on Saturday now?
I talked about this last week and it didn't happen. I don't believe in jinxes. So, but no, I think it's thoroughly impressive, and they're one game away. If Alabama doesn't have an interception or a fumble in this Vanderbilt game, they will tie the 2017 team for I think 5 straight, if I remember. I don't remember the team that had a longer streak before that, but keep in mind that 2017 team won the national championship.
Whoa. Whoa, Nick. Easy. Like if 2024 taught us anything, it's not to get ahead of ourselves.
I do think that's an important reversal of fortune to point out, though, because again, I mean, if you were listing by severity the biggest problems that the 2024 Alabama offense had, turnovers was a huge one. I mean, it was maybe the biggest problem that they had, and it goes so beyond not turning the ball over too. When we talk about taking care of the football, I mean, Ty Simpson's not taking sacks, 0 sacks in this game. That I would kind of lump that in with ball security a little bit. He's just aware of the value of a possession, right? And how important field position is and what you can do to preserve that in a play that's gone wrong. There's just a lot of heads up awareness from Ty Simpson.
Yeah, well, 40 sacks, 40 turnovers coming this weekend against Vanderbilt after all this.
Hey, listen, can you hear me knocking on my wooden desk here?
It's all due, stats. Yeah. Like the law of averages is going to kick in here. But again, I mentioned the offensive line, and like we'll be quick on this, but the Kadyn Proctor moment, we can't ignore that. That's huge, obviously. And you know what? It made me wonder, like, why don't you just do that more? Like if you have a guy who, like, and I get, like, we've watched football for a long time, and we know that, like, you put the ball in the hands of playmakers who are really fast and do that for a living, basically. But when you've got a guy who's 6'7", essentially 360 to 70 pounds, it's like, clearly, if he gets ahead of steam, he's going to be hard to bring down. It's just wonder. I mean, we know about Refrigerator Perry and other, like, big running backs, like, and you give them the ball in situations like that. But are we going to see, Nick, give us some inside information here? Are we going to see Kadyn Proctor with the ball in his hands more as the season goes on?
I mean, maybe so. I mean, that's the thing. He didn't get tackled. He just ran out of room. I mean, keep in mind, like this wasn't a case of, okay, they finally brought him down. It's just, no, along the sideline, he kind of had to step out a little bit. I mean, he almost scored.
He dove for it.
I think you'll see it again. I had heard about something like this in the works back in fall camp. I kind of didn't believe that they'd actually break it out. I thought it was just kind of a buried deep in the playbook for some rainy day. And here it was. And
he was like a Hulkbuster, dude. Like he was just on like a warpath, and like defensive backs were just getting stomped on like bugs like that.
I would love to be able to do an oral history of that play and talk to each of those Georgia players, like thinking like what is going through their heads in that exact moment. Because I mean, you've got some tough dudes in that Georgia defense, some really, good defenders. But like you see a guy like that coming at you, like what is your play? Where's your headspace at? Like I wouldn't want to be
business decision.
Well,
they don't pay DBs to try and shed blocks for an offensive lineman.
But when you saw Jam Miller go out wide, and then Jeremy Bernard is in motion and he goes out wide, it's like they sent their best guys out there to on the edge to block for him, and they did their job. And I mean, he just did the rest. It's just a shame he couldn't get in the end zone. It was an awesome play, and like I said, man, like, I mean, if that guy can just get ahead of steam and just like start running people over, it's like, give that man the ball at the goal line. Like, why not? Like, who's going to bring him down?
Yeah. The old black hole formation. They used to go harkening back to 2017 again, by the way, but that was a big part of Alabama's goal line offense was putting, I believe it was Ashawn Robinson and Deron Payne at essentially fullback positions. And they did touch the ball on occasion.
They did it with Jesse Williams before. Yeah. They did it with Terrence Cody, maybe Jonathan Allen lined up in that formation once or twice. So Yeah, I mean it's part of the Alabama history, but I think like after 100 and whatever years of football, like more people would have done it if it was consistently or like efficient enough. But I liked what I saw. I don't know
I
about
think it's
you
more
guys.
about the reliability of the hands of the
The ball
offensive lineman.
security and the hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, real quick, defensively, you guys talked about it a little bit, but it was a really impressive performance. It was at times a little frustrating too, right? Because they gave up explosive plays. There was confusion. There was even a moment that cameras caught where Kane Womack was saying he was taking accountability and responsibility for one of the busted plays where Georgia scored. Nick, defensively, they lost a couple of guys due to injury, due to targeting. So like some of the guys are not going to be available for the entirety of the Vanderbilt game, and then for the first half of the Vanderbilt game. Where does Alabama stand defensively? Like how do you think they did against Georgia, and how does this set them up for Vandy?
Yeah, pass defense was pretty darn solid. Other than that one break, I forget who caught that touchdown. I think it was Colby Young. But yeah, you had that one break. But yeah, the running game still a lot of concern. I will say those Georgia running backs, there's some dudes back there, other than the guy that they gave that fourth down play to. But I mean, they've got some guys, so that's not an easy Georgia rushing attack to defend. So I think there's some concerns because it's just the same problems they've had in other games in different ways, and they're only going to face tougher running groups. Where you look at Vanderbilt, where I mean, I don't have to tell you guys the villain of quarterback runs, Diego Pavia, is back. Then the next week you got Missouri, Ahmad Hardy. I believe at one point he's leading the country in missed tackles forced for that Missouri rushing attack. So they've got some teams coming up that can run the football. So they've got to get it figured out. Now it's going to be interesting in terms of personnel because, to your point, James Smith, he's out the first half against Vanderbilt because of targeting. Also, Quay Russaw, he was scheduled for surgery on Sunday because of a injury that he suffered in that game. So I don't know the exact timetable, but considering he had surgery, he's going to be out for at least a bit, probably longer. So you lose your starting outside linebacker. I mean, they're losing guys at that spot. I mean, Christian Robinson, their outside linebackers coach, is going to have to earn his money coaching that group because it's now Yanze Pierre. Then you've got the freshman. I'm totally blanking his name right now on a Monday morning, but you've got Noah Carter, who's a second-year guy. So Justin Hill, that's who it was. So they've got some young guys there that they'll need to coach up. So so you're down a few guys there, but at least Tim Keenan's back. I think similar to Deontay Lawson, how Deontay wasn't at his best in his first game back from an injury. I think Keenan will continue to get better, continue to get more comfortable. So I think they'll be in a better spot now that Keenan's back, but how much better? I just think that they've got to figure out things schematically, and also got to make sure that they're sticking to fundamentals, making sure they're taking good angles, making sure that they're not undercutting things and out of their gaps, and so all fundamental things. But I think scheme things too are important. So we'll see if they can at least improve it. I don't know that we're going to see them turn into a top 5 run defense, but at least if it's serviceable, then your pass defense can step in and try to essentially limit what they can do to you through the air as well as the ground. So we'll see. It's going to be tough though.
Let's say something nice about Georgia here. We said last week that atmosphere is never the problem. They make it really hard to win there, I think. But Nick, what was it like at Sanford Stadium? I've never been there before. What did you like about it?
It's a great environment. It really is. I mean, heck, there was even a rainbow right before the game, right above the stadium. So they had all the stops, but they also had the wristbands, kind of like you'll see it maybe like a Taylor Swift concert, where it kind of creates like a light show in the stadium that they control your wristband throughout the thing. So it has all these different colors that they bring out. So so kind of cool, different things there. Obviously, the rainbow I don't think was Georgia.
I was going to say, did you just give them credit for a rainbow?
It sounds like I did. It sounds like he did, but no, there was a rainbow before the game. But no, the atmosphere is great. I mean, that place, people, all sorts of adults barking throughout the halls of that stadium. So there's a lot of people there, plenty intense. And I think it's 92,000. So it's not the biggest stadium in the SEC, but still pretty darn sizable atmosphere to watch a football game. So definitely intense, especially because they wanted to beat Alabama bad, but couldn't figure it out. And I think that the first couple of drives, took some energy out of that place.
Nick, I do want to ask you about one thing atmosphere related, which is, was it driving you as insane as it was to the home viewer to hear the constant blah, blah, blah?
Well, it was weird because it made me think, like, I thought that was like a third down song, but they always played it before second down, I think.
Yeah,
and
the
so it always
classic
threw me.
second down in
I know,
stadium music. Apparently,
that
it's a piece of score from a movie called All Quiet on the Western Front, which I didn't see. It doesn't appear to have affected Alabama as much as they'd hoped it did. And I mean, honestly, it's just it was all I could hear every time Alabama had the ball.
Well, what a great look to pick music from a movie about the atrocities of World War I, and like the optics on that are fantastic.
Yes.
Great choice, an Oscar-winning score, by the way. So maybe credit to them, as much credit as we're giving them for the rainbow too. But I mean, like if you're a Georgia fan, all I'm going to say is like you make an incredible atmosphere. Every Georgia game that I've watched or even been to in Atlanta or Tuscaloosa, Georgia fans, they bring it. They're intense. They're passionate. But when you wear spiky shoulder pads and wear face paint, whether you look like the Joker or whatever, be prepared for cameras to hit you when you're looking sad in those costumes, right? And so you see people in like Joker get-ups and like whatever else, and like the cameras find them instantaneously when, like you said, Nick, they want to beat Alabama, but they just can't seem to figure it out. So sorry for those guys. I said we were going to say something nice, and you did, and I ruined it, and I'm really sorry. But
it's not called Be Nice to Everyone, Ben. That's not the name of this show.
I guess. And they want to beat they want to beat Alabama just as badly, as Nick pointed out. So this was monumental in all the ways for DeBoer that we mentioned. I mean, it negates the Florida State loss, at least for now, or until it becomes part of their playoff resume, if they're still in the mix later in the season. Alabama looked great, and they won on the road, which was obviously a huge question mark. So that is a huge box to check. Alabama and DeBoer currently own Georgia. I mean, this is like pure ownership at this point of Georgia and Kirby Smart. There's no way around it at this point, but we've seen this before. So now the mission is don't fumble the opportunity for a second year in a row. Vanderbilt humiliated Alabama a week after they beat Georgia, so that can happen again. Why not? But even with the Vandy loss, Alabama was able to recover in 2024, and they had the playoff right in front of them if they just beat Oklahoma, and then they just beat Auburn after they beat Oklahoma, and then they squandered that with another humiliating loss on the road. So that obviously cannot happen again. So as big as this Georgia win is, we know how quickly things can change. So until Alabama beats Vanderbilt, they have to prove that they can stay on track. If they beat Vanderbilt, and if they do it convincingly, I think that's going to convince people that this year is different for Alabama, which is a really weird thing to think and say. So Vanderbilt comes to town on Saturday. Diego Pavia back for his 15th year of eligibility. He beat Alabama last year, so he knows he can do it. Vanderbilt looks bigger and badder in 2025. They smoked South Carolina in Columbia. They're racking up 50-point games on offense. They're currently a 12.5-point underdog in Tuscaloosa. We know Ryan Williams said that Alabama wanted to kill an ant with a sledgehammer during the offseason. Nick, what do you consider the biggest storyline to start the week as the mighty Commodores look for another upset?
Yeah, I think it's all about, can Alabama respond? I think it's about Alabama. It's not about Vanderbilt. And I think that Alabama needs to just focus on, okay, it doesn't matter who we beat last week. It doesn't matter who we beat or trying to beat this week. Because, yeah, obviously it'd be very easy to focus on that narrative. I think it just needs to be a case of, hey, last week was good. Let's do it again. Let's figure out how to do it again. And here's the thing. I will say, I think everyone, on this podcast recognizes it. I think fans recognize it, that it's almost like this is halftime. Like the first half was beating Georgia. Now you got to go beat Vanderbilt. And I think people in the building recognize it. Everyone that I was interacting with on Sunday was saying things like, okay, yeah, that was great, but we got to, get back to business here. Like we got to turn this attention to Vanderbilt. Like they cannot just celebrate and rest on their laurels there. So I think that, to me, I'm not too worried about Alabama being able to respond and stay focused on Vanderbilt, even with the success against Georgia, because of last year. You have a very direct example of that not working. I think the Missouri game is frankly the bigger concern because it's after this emotional Vanderbilt game, because Alabama wants to be Vanderbilt. They want to get that win back after what happened last season. So that Missouri game, I think, is more of the trap game per se than this game would be, because then also Tennessee's the week after that. And so that Missouri game is more of, I think, trap game material than Vanderbilt. So I don't buy the narrative that this game against Vanderbilt is that trap game.
Where'd you go to school, Nick?
That's not important.
It's not? Where'd you go to school? Tell me why you're. What?
I
so,
may or may not have
gone
gone to Missouri, but
what?
That take has nothing to do with where I went to school.
All right,
nothing to do. Well, it's 11 a.m. kick on the road after between two emotional
easy,
games.
Nick, settle down. Settle down.
Just saying, you're getting me too pumped up on a Monday morning.
No, just settle down. It's all right. I think you're the one looking ahead here. We're just about transparency here on this podcast, but no, I think you make a great point. But Matt, I mean, I'm just curious, Vandy, like, where are you right now with Vandy? I mean, like, we talked about like the stakes of last year and how Alabama got so ahead of themselves. They're so pumped up. They've beaten Georgia. They're the number one team in the country. They're ahead of schedule. And then Diego Pavia absolutely ruins things. But do you think Vandy's capable of doing it again? Do you think Alabama lets it happen 2 years in a row?
I may be overconfident in this point in Alabama going into this game for a few reasons. I mean, I think for one, as Nick pointed out, Vanderbilt no longer has the advantage of Alabama not taking them seriously going into this game from a preparation standpoint, for sure. I also think that Vanderbilt, as weird as this is to say, Vanderbilt may be coming into this game a little unprepared for the level of intensity of the game. Vanderbilt has accomplished a lot of really impressive things over the past season and a half, but they haven't actually played in a game that had particularly high stakes. And I think as a program, there's not a lot of institutional knowledge there when it comes to playing in a game like this. You're talking about a crowd that actually is excited for the game and is going to be loud and intense. That is not something Vanderbilt has experienced either at home or on the road a whole lot. And I also think the stakes of it, I mean, they know if they can come in and win this game, this is bringing their program to an unprecedented level of respect and success. It's a lot of pressure. And I have a ton of respect for Diego Pavia. I think as a college football player, he is pretty much the perfect guy to build your team around. So much confidence and swagger and moxie, and loves what he's doing, puts himself on the line every game. But I think obviously as much improvement as Clark Lee has made at Vanderbilt, the talent levels are not equal, and Vanderbilt will not only need a great game plan to beat this Alabama team, they'll need to execute at a very high level. And that's just tougher to do on the road, especially in an environment where the fans actually care about the game and are into it. So, I mean, I think Vanderbilt faces a tougher challenge this year than they did a year ago, even if this Vanderbilt team is maybe playing a little bit better. And look, they look great so far. Their offense is a nightmare to defend. There are, as there was a year ago, Pavia is capable of beating you a number of different ways, and he seems to have great rapport with his receivers, particularly those big tight ends that they've invested a lot in as a program. I just think there's enough. There's a little more film now. There's a little bit more call for focus and intensity in the preparation this week. I'll certainly say if Alabama looks unprepared for this game, there's really no excuse for it. But I don't expect that. I think Alabama will take this game very seriously. I think that they will come into this game with the same level of tailored game plan that they brought to Georgia. And I also think, by the way that they just beat Georgia also is one of those game plans that causes future opponents to come out and have to play you differently. They are going to be worried about Alabama's receivers that entire game, and it may create some more opportunities finally for that run game in the middle of the field because Vanderbilt, I don't think Vanderbilt can afford to just play man coverage on Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard and the whole rest of that group. They're going to have to play a little bit safer in the secondary, and that may be. I'm not necessarily saying I know how it's going to go, but I think that there are going to be opportunities for Jam Miller and that run game, especially in the middle of the field.
Just giving Diego Pavia more bulletin board material here, Matt. That's what we do on this show. But I mean, think about how things started for Alabama last year in Nashville. Total disaster, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Vanderbilt, they get the ball first, they run it down Alabama's throat, score on their first drive, and then when Alabama gets the ball, Jalen Milroe throws a tip pass that gets returned for a pick six. Suddenly, Alabama is in a 14-0 hole. So if Alabama can avoid starting that slowly, they're in much better shape.
And I don't have the stats in front of me from that game, but I mean, polar opposite in terms of third down execution for the defense. That's one of my biggest memories from that Alabama Vanderbilt game was Alabama could not get off the field on third down, and they did it incredibly well. They held Georgia to, I believe it was 2 of 10 on third and fourth down. Georgia just, if Alabama could get them to a third down, they found ways to make plays, and they had great stuff dialed up on third down. I think that's the key again. Get this Vanderbilt team in third and medium, third and long, and try to throw something at them they're not expecting. And that's tough to rattle Diego Pavia, but I think that's got to be the plan.
Yeah, when Georgia was having a lot of success running the ball, Alabama making adjustments, getting the stops that they needed to get. So Alabama fans love revenge games, and this is not the Saban era. We're past that now, but I mean, when Alabama got another crack at Johnny Manziel, they got him. When they got another crack at Nick Marshall, they got him. When they got another crack at Trevor Knight, they got him. So Alabama looking forward to hopefully repeating similar history. I mentioned this earlier. ESPN College GameDay returns to Tuscaloosa. They've been there a million times, once during the Kalen DeBoer era for Alabama, Georgia last year. Terry Saban was the celebrity guest picker. It was perfect. Saban's first season away from the program, somebody actually connected to the place. It's been dicey throughout the years, whether or not they can book somebody with a strong Alabama connection when they're broadcasting on the University of Alabama campus. Matt, I'll start with you. Big question here, and I'm sure they'll announce it soon. Who should be the celebrity guest picker this week?
All right, I have a couple of proposals here, and I hope I'm not stepping on Nick's. But I think there's two routes that I could see GameDay going. One is they love to have the sort of skewing for younger audiences, these like online comedians, right? And there's one guy I think of as being associated to some degree with Alabama, and it's Drewski. I could see them going with Drewski for this. I mean, they've had like Theo Vaughn on and a couple of guys in that sphere. I could see them going with Drewski, but my maybe more realistic pick is going with the Disney synergy route here. They've got a show coming out soon on Hulu, I believe, called Chad Powers, that is college football adjacent. I could see them bringing on Steve Zahn, who is not affiliated with any college that plays football, and bringing Steve Zahn on to promote the show. And I would be thrilled for that. I'm a big Steve Zahn fan. He was at SEC Media Days also promoting the show as well. So I could see them going just the corporate synergy route and going with something like that.
Steve, I love Steve Zahn. Steve Zahn is awesome. I mean, take it back to That Thing You Do, but man, go big. Glenn Powell is the star of Chad Powers.
Well, Glenn Powell's
he's an actual college football fan.
But here's the problem. Glenn Powell's a Texas fan. You can't have a Texas fan as the guest picker for Bama Vandy.
But that would be in line with what ESPN has done for years and years. So
I think you save Glenn Powell for the Red River Shootout or something.
Yeah, I'm sure he was on the sideline, I think, for Alabama, Texas in 2023 too. So that wouldn't sit well with Alabama fans, I don't think. I like the pick. Drewski was on set last year for Alabama, Georgia. He was there and he did he was on camera and did a whole segment. So maybe he would come back. I think that's a great pick. Nick, I think Missouri is off this week. So Eli Drinkwitz, do you think he'd be a good celebrity guest picker? Who do you think?
He'd be great. But I will say, I like the Steve Zahn pick also mainly because he's a Minnesotan. So I think that's a good call up and down because that's where I'm from. Also fortunate, I got to meet him at SC Media Days.
You actually met him. Okay.
I did get to meet him. It was pretty cool because they were filming like a promo in the media room. So that was fun to be able to talk to him just a little bit and hear kind of his perspective. He's a big college football fan, college sports fan. I think he lives in Kentucky now. So he's a Kentucky fan, but yeah, to me, I think if you could get a Alabama born celebrity, I think people have talked about like Courtney Cox or Channing Tatum before. That'd be great. But I think they'll probably go the route of former player who's got good personality, just because I don't know if it's easy, but I think it's just kind of when you can't get some big celebrity that might be willing to do it, you go that player route. So maybe it's a Terrion Arnold. Get someone who's got big personality to come back, or maybe it's a Jalen Milroe or something like that. I don't know if that'd be the answer, but it'll be interesting to see. But I could see them go former athlete. And hey, I mean, Nate Bargatze did it a year ago, and he is a Vanderbilt fan.
He's a Vanderbilt fan, yeah.
But he did it for the Georgia-Alabama game, so that was weird. But maybe they get him back again. Who knows?
I will say Alabama celebrity wise, and I don't know. I have no idea. Ben probably knows more than I do if he's a fan of a particular school. But Walton Goggins is that's maybe the hottest name from Alabama right now in terms of stars, right?
Good point.
So Bargatze was there 2 years ago for the LSU game in 2023. Remember, Miss Terry did it last year for the Georgia game.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, but you're right. He has a Vandy connection. He's a fan. His wife is an Alabama fan. So I don't think anybody would be sad or disappointed about Bargatze.
I mean, everybody likes Nate Bargatze, I think. Yeah.
But look, I mean, we have a lot of options here. People who have never been the celebrity picker before. Our friend of the podcast, Caitlin Collins from CNN, I think she would be an awesome pick. I think Deontay Wilder has never done it, the former heavyweight champ. Big personality. He would be great. I think he would be awesome. But I like the former player route. I think that's always like the safe pick. On this last episode, LeVar Arrington did it from the Oregon Penn State. He was awesome, just electric personality. And you've got, like you said, Terrion Arnold. You've got guys like, I mean, even former players like, what's Julio Jones up to now? He would get the people excited. Like, bring some people back.
Amari Cooper's retired.
Mean a lot to Alabama football fans right now. I mean, Justin Thomas coming off of the Ryder Cup, that could be another interesting pick. He did LSU back in 2019, I think, and was the celebrity guest picker. So a lot of options to choose from. I'm anxious to see who they'll pick, but it's probably going to be like a country music star with a new album playing at some venue down the street.
Someone you've never heard of before, but it has sold 10 million records.
That's right.
Bryden Brantley or something.
There you go. I think you guys have good choices there, and we'll come back and see who was right, who was wrong. All right, well, that was great, guys. Appreciate it. Matt Scalici, Beat Everyone producer, Nick Kelly, AL.com, Alabama beat writer. Read all his coverage on AL.com. Thanks, guys. Always appreciate it. You can find Beat Everyone on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. There's a lot more to come this week on Alabama Vandy, so come back on Wednesday. I promise you won't be disappointed. I'm Ben Flanagan with AL.com. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.